Publishers are thanking Nintendo for game keycards on the Switch 2. One of the most hated things about the Nintendo Switch 2. I cannot believe what I'm reading. Now, if you don't know what Nintendo Switch 2 game keycards are, they're basically a fresh spin on game cartridges. Instead of holding the full game, they're like a ticket that lets you download the game from Nintendo servers as long as you've got enough storage on your Switch 2, or a micro SD card, of course, and then pop the card into play, just like a regular cartridge. It doesn't have the game on it though, but it's just like a ticket, so it lets you download the game. It's cool for sharing or reselling games, I suppose, but some folks are not thrilled since you need an internet connection to download it, and there's obviously a lot of worry about what happens when the servers go down the road. Is your game keycard going to be a game paperweight? Let's get into it. Like, subscribe, click the bell icon for more Switch 2 content on your homepage every day. I'm your old buddy Blaze, covering Switch 2 multiple times a day. Let's get into the article from Nintendo Life. So, according to a Japanese consultancy forums, basically publishers are thanking Nintendo for doing this, basically. Apologies for that, got sidetracked there. But yeah, I bet Japanese I bet publishers are thanking Nintendo for game keycards because it means more profits for them. Obviously, if you don't know, if they're able to sell you a physical copy of the game without having to actually take a cut in terms of, paying for the actual storage memory on the card, because as you know, Switch game cartridges, they're different sizes. The developer and the publisher can pay, take a portion of the game cost and put that into, maybe a bigger game card for the game to go on. Well, now they just have to pay for the actual empty game card with no storage on it, which means they could just basically pocket the extra money that they get from not having to pay for actual memory on the card. And they still get all the benefits of selling a physical, quote-unquote, physical release. I don't know, man, I'll never be a big fan of game key cards. But one thing that I do not mind as much is the virtual game cards. It's much easier to download all your digital games now on the Switch 2. Using the digital game card feature to be able to, just to browse what games you've got, see all the cover art, and basically just download them onto your system when you want. I think that's a really awesome thing. But the empty game cards, it's just a little bit pointless to me. But let's see what they've got to say. So, game key cards for the Switch 2 have proven to be a monumentally controversial move from Nintendo, with many fans upset at the potential implications for game preservation and ownership. However, according to a short quote from Kyoko Kino, president of Japanese video game consultancy firm Kios Inc., publishers are thanking Nintendo for game key cards, noting that the move will help offset the rising cost of game development. Thanks, Bloomberg. Software publishers are thanking Nintendo as they face rising costs to make games, and they need to keep making profits. So basically, that extra money that they would have lost otherwise spent on paying for the storage for the game on the game cart, now they're like, oh, we get to have a physical release and we get to have it advertised in the stores, but we don't have to pay for the storage to have the game on the cart. We could just basically sell people tickets. I mean, like I said, it's still, like the article says, and like we spoke about, it's good for reselling. It's good, if you buy a virtual game card, as sucky as it is not having the full game on the cart. CD Projekt Red, gotta give them credit. They put the full game on the cart, even though it's a big game and it's a third-party game. They still did it, and I think that just shows you where their priorities lie and how nice a company they are. But other developers, yeah, the game isn't on the cart. Yeah, you need an internet connection to download the game. It is a DRM of sorts. And when Xbox got caught doing it, the community completely shunned them for the Xbox One. But for Nintendo, it's okay, surprisingly. But at least we could resell our games, so that's the main thing, right? So the vast majority of third-party titles for the Switch 2 have been revealed as game key cards, with the notable exceptions being Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, just like I said, Tales from Marvelous. Nintendo itself has confirmed that it has no plans to release first-party games on key cards, so at least Nintendo are sticking true to the official, game on cart system that's tried and true, and if there is an apocalypse at some point, you should be able to pick your first party Nintendo games on the Switch 2 and just play them without an internet connection. Thank God. So at least Nintendo isn't falling foul and being a little bit greedy like third party publishers are. So yeah, while some publishers may well be thanking Nintendo, others aren't quite so keen on the idea. Stephen Kicks, founder of Night Dive Studios, says that the move is a little bit disheartening and that Nintendo should take preservation a little bit more seriously. Nintendo of all companies, right? Because Nintendo's known, for having the amazing gaming community that love physical game collections. I think Nintendo by all accounts, and I think most people would agree, right? We're like the last bastion for physical games and collecting games. We saw a little bit. We saw them dabble in the little code-in box sort of stuff, you know, with the last generation, but it was few and far between. But now, obviously, I think this is going to be a lot bigger. It's almost like, you know, I think, honestly, the key in the box is a little bit more practical, you know, on a little bit of card, you know, a little card or a little bit of paper with the key that you can redeem on the eShop is a bit more practical. It's almost like they're almost like fooling people. I feel like this is like a bait and switch sort of thing where, you know, people are going to go to the store and they're like, oh, it's a physical game, it's got the game cart inside the case, not knowing that the game cart doesn't actually have the game on it and they still have to download it. You know, it's, if anything, it's bad for the environment, but it is good for reselling. So, you know, it has its pros and cons. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you boycotting game key cards, basically the game carts without the game on them, and, you know, them requiring the internet connection to download the game? Are you boycotting these games when you see that little label on your case when you go to the shopping for Switch 2 games? Are you going to just be like, no, I refuse to buy that, I'm boycotting game key cards. If I'm going to buy a game physically, it has to have the game in the cart? Or are you just not bothered? Or are you just going to buy off the eShop like most people? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's read some comments from Nintendo Life, see what people have to say about this. Earthbound Benji says, and the consumers are not thanking Nintendo. Not a surprise, a big corporation ignoring what their customers want in order to make more money. No surprises, right? We're all used to it. Doesn't make it right though. It's a good move for smaller publishers and indie studios who want physical space on a store shelf and a cartridge in the box without doing the whole code in box nonsense. I guess there is an argument to be made, I guess, in that indie developers can get physical, you know, real estate on store shelves. Not that many people go to stores to buy physical games anymore, unless it's like retro games. Let me know if you disagree with me on that. But it is good for indie developers. That way, you know, they can go to a store and see their game on the shelf, which they otherwise wouldn't have maybe been able to do, just because it's so expensive to get your game published like that. But then if you are going to the extent as an indie developer to get your game published physically in the stores, you'd be having to go through that hassle anyway, because you'd have to get the game cases designed, the artwork printed. A game key card is actually going to have to get made. The only thing you're not having to do is pay for the extra storage on the game key card. Doesn't the game lose its value if it doesn't have the game on it? I'm personally not too bothered, as Xbox and PlayStation both do the same thing with their disc games, which often require updates. The game disc is forever incomplete anyways, but I understand why it bothers some people. Nintendo is at least being transparent about it and offering the option for smaller companies. I understand getting a game into a cartridge is not easy for certain publishers, but I still don't see why bother. It's just a digital game, an unnecessary piece of plastic. Either have the game on the cartridge or don't. I actually kind of don't get it. Is it to satisfy collectors or people who insist on having something physical so they can feel better about having the game that way, even though it's a totally empty gesture of sorts? I couldn't have put it better myself. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, guys, like, subscribe, click the bell icon, check the links down below for all the best Switch 2 accessories from JSOX. There's amazing stuff here. Get the thumbstick covers, get the screen protectors, get the cases, the carry cases, get the Joy-Con charging grip. That lets you charge the Joy-Cons as you're playing with the Joy-Cons on the grip. And I really recommend you get the TomTalk Slim carrying case for the Switch 2. It's one of the best slim carrying cases I've seen around, honestly. If you haven't seen it in person, I've got this one. TomTalk sent me this one. Go check my unboxing video of the Switch 2, and I actually show you me putting it in this, and we talk about this in a little bit, but I'm going to have a dedicated video for it as well very soon. So yeah, thanks for watching. Love you. I appreciate you. I'm Blaze2K. Let me know what you think about game key cards. Again, it's going to be a subject for discussion for the next couple of years, as we see it happen more and more and developers get a little bit more greedy. They say it's to offset the cost of video game development. Do you believe them? Let me know. Anyways, peace. I'm Blaze. Like, subscribe, click the bell icon for more Switch 2 content every day. Bye.
Let's go.